Hello and welcome back to the Eyes of O Gaming channel. Thank you for joining me as we investigate another older game in the What Is It and Is It Worth It game review and showcase series. During the review, I will try my best to stay objective and as spoiler-free as possible as we go over the various aspects of the game, such as mechanics, graphics, and sound, as well as giving a general idea of the world the game takes place in. I won't be giving a number rating to the game, as I find number rating systems to be very arbitrary considering the subjective nature of video games. Instead, I'll try my best to give enough information that you can decide for yourself if the game is worth it for you. If you are interested in a more subjective look, stay to the end of the video for my personal recommendation of if I would recommend the game, and if I actually enjoyed it with a simple yes, no, or sometimes a maybe, and a short explanation of why or why not. Have you ever wished there was a movie set in ancient Rome directed by Michael Bay? Well, too bad, it doesn't exist. However, there is a gaming equivalent of how I would expect it would turn out. Today we look at Ryse Son of Rome, a game released back in 2013. This game was released by Crytek and published by Microsoft Studios. Today we are looking at various aspects of the game, looking at things like mechanics, graphics, or sound, all while staying as story spoiler free as possible. All of this is done so we can discover together what exactly is Ryse Son of Rome, and try to answer the most important question asked in this video game review series. Is this game worth it for you? Let's find out together. So to set the plot for you, Ryse takes place in a fictional version of ancient Rome. When I say fictional version of ancient Rome, think like a classic Hollywood version of how Rome is often depicted. But Ryse really doubles down on this fictional Roman style. The player will take control of the character Marius Titus, and will follow his life as he begins as a legionary and rises through the ranks to become a leader in the Roman army. This story will take you across the ancient Roman Empire from Egypt to Britannia to Rome itself. Along with the story of Marius's rise, there is a consistent theme which will play through the game that ties to the mythology of Damocles and the path of revenge. Essentially, the main campaign will play through the story of Marius, as told through his perspective, as the game starts out in the present, with the campaign being him explaining his life story and how he got to the point he's at.
What family? What's your name, soldier?
Marius. But my name is of no import. My story, however, is.
The game is set in third person and is an action-adventure game. The whole game will play out in a highly cinematic style. Everything from combat to exploration to other features in the game will feel much like an interactive movie rather than a typical game. Combat is very simple, with the goal when facing enemies to enter a cinematic kill animation, which will be a series of time strikes. Although the combat is quite simplistic and easy, it is also quite fun to play out, and the animations and cinematic nature of it will feel quite satisfying. Aside from that, there are a number of other sequences in the game, which will have you form testudo or use different missile weapons. When playing, you will choose between different perks that you can actually switch between in real time, which allow Marius to get bonuses such as gaining health, experience, or other bonuses. Experience will allow you to purchase skill upgrades in health, focus, experience gain, and general combat effectiveness. Graphics have held up surprisingly well over the years. The graphics actually felt ahead of their time on release, and playing the game today, it really doesn't feel like you stepped into a time warp, and will not have the dated graphical feeling that can cause disinterest in some players when picking up an older game. NPCs, environments, and animations look really good, everything works quite smoothly, and aside from only experiencing a couple of very minor cinematic hiccups, I didn't experience any game breaking or graphical bugs while playing through the main campaign. The only thing that can be a bit of a downside is that even though the NPCs and enemies do look very good, they will start to be very repetitive quite quickly. Personally, I didn't have an issue with this, and to continue with the analogy that I made earlier, it seems to fit quite well with the classic ancient Roman Hollywood style, where they reused extras or had very similar looking adversaries constantly reappearing. So what sets this game apart from others, and why should you consider picking it up? Well, it's actually the unapologetic basic action style that makes it so different. It doesn't try to be anything more than it is. Other than the fact that it is a highly cinematic experience, it really doesn't stray too far into being experimental or going off the beaten path. The gameplay is really quite easy, even on difficult modes, and on normal it feels like a very casual experience. This can actually be a bit of a relief if you've been playing a lot of punishingly difficult games. It's really just an action-filled, cinematic, hack-and-slash, romanticized ancient Roman setting story, told in a way that keeps things simple with smooth, intuitive controls. I really have no complaints in the sound department. Dialogue is well written and well delivered. Don't expect Shakespeare here, but it also doesn't suffer from the awkward dialogue in some games. Combat and other gameplay sounds all fit naturally, and there's nothing standout that will cause a negative experience.
Father,
Marius?
it's good to see you again. How do I look? Every inch the Roman soldier.
You look fine, my son. Welcome home.
So what can I compare this game to? Well, the game I had the strongest connection to was Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Obviously, story-wise, we are looking at two completely different games. However, the cinematic style and very story-driven gameplay, even the combat style, felt quite similar. Comparatively, Hellblade is a much deeper story experience, but again, Ryse is not trying to be something it's not. The story is a big part of the game, but it's kept simple. Aside from that, we can look to games like Shadow of War or Shadow of Mordor, and also the Batman Arkham games. Again, story-wise, we're looking at something very different, but the combat style did feel vaguely reminiscent to those titles. So now that we've looked at some of the features of the game, we reach the point of my review where I give a more subjective look at my personal experience with it. Please keep in mind that the following is just my opinion of the game, and if the features and genre seem interesting to you, you should definitely check it out for yourself, as not all games are for all gamers. The game that you hate might be the next gamer's all-time favorite, which is one of the things that I love about gaming. There's always something for someone out there. Okay, so now the big question. Did I personally enjoy this game, and do I recommend this for a first-time player? Sure, why not? If you can get this on a bargain, it's a pretty fun casual game. It's story driven, but like I've been saying during the review, don't expect it to be more than, say, Conan levels of plot development. This is not to say it is bad at all. Many of my favorite games and movies have very simple plots. Not everything needs to be a deep web of storylines and subplots. Just know what you're getting into before you start. The combat and gameplay is very much on a casual level of difficulty. Again, not an issue for me personally or one in general, just something to be aware of. Really, the only thing that I can be super critical of is the length of the game.
Is that it? I was just beginning to enjoy myself.
As is typical for these story-heavy cinematic games, similar to what I experienced in Hellblade, is the length tends to be really quite short. This isn't so much of a problem now as you can pick up the game relatively inexpensively. However, on release at full price was a bit much for such a short adventure. If you are interested in seeing more gameplay and don't mind something a little more spoilery, I will also post a first hour of gameplay video so you can see what to expect. So I hope you enjoyed this look at Ryse Son of Rome. Have you already played through this one? What were your own thoughts on the game? Did you agree or disagree with my own assessment of it? If you disagreed, let me know why. Maybe there's something I didn't think of and you can convince me. I'd love to hear about your own experiences down in the comments, or if my review showcase was helpful, I'd like to know if you decided to go ahead with it or not. Either way, if you found this video interesting or entertaining, please let me know with a thumbs up, and also consider subscribing to the channel. I make and upload a variety of gaming content, not just reviews like this, but also walkthroughs, mod showcases, let's play, and more. And I'd love to have you join the community and help direct the future of the channel. Otherwise, thank you so much for taking the time to watch today, and until next time, take care.
Legend says that Damocles was a great warrior. A revered leader in a vast army. During a massive battle, his cowardly commanders abandoned him. When the slain Damocles arrived in the underworld, Nemesis, the goddess of revenge, was enraged at how the brave hero had been treated. She allowed Damocles to return to the world as a vengeful spirit, a ghostly, black-armored centurion who would hunt down and kill each of the generals who had wronged him. To this day, many commanders carry a dagger with the image of Damocles on the scabbard. This dagger reminds them to always look after their men, or risk the Black Centurion returning from the dead to avenge their selfish mistakes.